AM 970 WSTX.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, Doc Canton, and to all your beloved audience.
All right, you lend some to me?
And your co-driver here, Charlotte. Yeah, you running things.
All right.
Morning, one and all.
Okay.
Morning to you,
All right.
Mr. Moorhead.
Mr. Beloved himself, he lent me
Yeah,
some of his
Mr.
audience.
Beloved.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Any audience I deal with is a beloved audience to me.
All right, I hear that. I
If
hear
you could
that.
listen to me, you got to be my beloved.
Well, you know, I'm going to have to ask my son if he's my beloved, because sometimes I'll be talking to him.
Yeah, he don't listen. Oh, and I must say welcome home.
Yes.
Give thanks for that.
Because, you know, years ago I used to listen to you on this station.
Yeah.
All right.
So welcome home.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
thing.
you.
Well, sir, I know that every just as sure as everything have a bottom it must sit on, there is always a story. And as I understand, Crucian Dialogues is to be understood as several books that come together in this one set of covers. So I mean, they have a story. And I look at the titles, the me, the he, the she, and the they, and the everything, and I said, okay, I ain't gonna even try to figure it out in terms of how I go present. I'll let you tell a little story behind the story if you want to. And but the floor is all yours.
No, but it might seem like a tremendous strategic plan, but really it was what the resources allowed. Because it was a big job in terms of the scope of what I wanted to do. And as I think I mentioned half here, one of our major failings as a people is we don't like to read. And, well, the bigger the book, you know, the more intimidating people get. And, you know, that being one part of the issue, the other being that the bigger the book, the more resources it takes, you know, to have it published. So, after, well, harassing my head about it, years I said, well, listen, I remember, might have been 20 years ago, but I did do a thing called Black Star with a colleague of yours. He's an artist. You know him as a musical artist.
Yes.
But he's a graphic artist. You know, I did a historical novel called Black Star. And again, because of the size, I did not dare to just make it one edition and drop 500 pages on my people, because say, hey, you ain't gonna read that, Mario, so don't worry with that. So we did it in segments, and he would illustrate it. So I thought back on that, and I said, you know, that'll work out all right. You know, maybe that's what I need to do here. Okay. You know, so that is what it is, and it ended up being like, okay, 4 books in one. Because, and again, don't be intimidated, but it's a total of 790 pages. So it's almost an 800-page book.
Okay.
But it came about for us as 4 dialogues. This is where the title come from, Crucian Dialogues. Then there's a subtitle to it, and that is Defining the Problem. So the title is Crucian Dialogues, subtitle defining the problem. I wanted to tell, well, my perspective of our story.
Okay.
All right? So the first dialogue came out as he and me.
Yes.
The second dialogue, it and me. The third dialogue was she and me. And now this fourth one is them and me.
Okay.
Would you? Now, when you get the book in hand, you'll realize that each one of these dialogues have their own heading. He and me is actually entitled The Injury. And this is where I try my best to explain what I view as the injury that was inflicted on us as a Crucian people. Now, as an African descendant, wherever you come from, you could view it from your perspective.
Right.
But I come from St. Croix. So I give you the Crucian perspective of our problem.
Right.
And we begin with the injury. And this is, we're dealing with such really frightening fairy tales that, well, I have enjoyed all my life, which is that you're always pointing your finger after white people, but it is our own people sell we to the white people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is what I wanted to debunk, first of all, because there is no, not even a modicum of truth to that. But then again, if I was the conqueror and I run things, I gotta make sure I tell a narrative that make me look good. You know, like, you know,
Right.
the lion always say, the day I get to be the hunter, you'll hear a different story about the hunt. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but it is he who got the rifle, you know, and is the hunter. And telling the story and
Yes.
each other from his perspective.
Right.
So, all right. So, this then was the first dialogue, the injury. The second one is it and me. And this is entitled the legitimization of the injury. And I get into how then, well, what we have to refer to as the Europeans, because there wasn't one European, the Europeans actually legalized the injury that they perpetrated on the human beings called Africans. And we got through from the Vatican, right on through what they call the Law of Nations, to what then succeeded it was the League of Nations, to what we now have as the United Nations. But because, well, we don't look into these things too much, we don't realize that the first one was the Law of Nations. And the laws in there actually said that if you were not a Christian, and you were not civilized. And therefore, the European who was a Christian had all the legal rights to possess you. I mean, today in the United Nations, this says, oh, we love everybody. But you go back to the League of Nations, it wasn't quite the same. And when you go back even further to the Law of Nations, you know, that really is what succeeded the Vatican. Because there was a time when in Europe there was only one religion, Roman Catholic. But then you had the Reformation. And this then is when you had the war between what would have been the Vatican rule part of Southern Europe against the Reformation part of Europe, which was in Northern Europe. You know, you started out with Greece, Rome, and Iberia, which Iberia is Spain and Portugal. These were the tip of the spear of the age of exploration. And these were the people who inherited the goodwill of the Vatican, because this was the first United Nations. Everybody was Catholic, and the final arbiter was the Pope. So that if any two peoples had any conflict and whatnot, where today we're in the United Nations to try and resolve it, it was the Vatican that did it, and the Pope was the final arbiter. But then what happened now, when you got the Reformation, and all of, you know, Central and Northern Europe now renounced the Pope. So who is the final arbiter now? Well, this is where they formed the international organization called the Law of Nations, which then went into the League of Nations, and we now know it as United Nations. But again, so this is the legitimization of the injury. This is the second dialogue. And so this is what we show you now, how it has come to be that it was our fault that we were captured and enslaved and we inferior being. And it was legitimate of the European to actually capture us, enslave us, civilize us, you know, to make us the almost equal human beings that we is today. Yeah. All right, then we went to the third dialogue, that is she and me. And the title of that one is The Failed Resistance. That began with what we, well, officially is called Maroon Ridge. But if you will have the patience and the discipline to go back and dig into this thing to find out that it was actually Ndongo, Ndongo. Why is that? Because this was the region of Africa that we today know as Angola. We only know of that area by the tidbit that we get, Queen Nzinga. That's a name that quite a few of us familiar. Queen Nzinga, yeah, she was a big warrior thing. Well, Queen Nzinga was queen of Ndongo. She was fighting Portuguese and Dutch. We ended up being the first captured and bonded people of Ndongo that was brought here by the Dutch, who was fighting Queen Nzinga. Now then, again, without, you know, telling the whole story, because I don't want to spoil, I want, if anything, you know, entice you to want to turn the pages yourself and read it.
Well, you have my attention.
Well, good, a good thing. So then, you know, here, this would have been the early 17th century, like 1625, which is like 350 years ago now. This is when the first Crucians came here, and I refer to that as the first Africans that were brought here as enslaved. Now then, at the time, something else we don't know, which is, as a, if we go allow for this little digression in the story, but one of the ways that I refer to this work is, it's the lesson we didn't get in school. You see, and so that a lot of this here, not a lot, all of this here is about us. But when we go to school, we don't go to school to learn about us. No. We go to school to learn about how our conquerors view us. And what they want us to know was, Bob Marley would say, all we know is what they teach us.
Yes.
You know, and another way I say it, and I think in some part of the book I must say it a couple of times, we're like lions, born and raised in a zoo. So we don't know we're lions. We have no idea who we be, other than what the zookeepers who we be. You know, what they train us to do, that's who we is. We're lions, but born and raised in a zoo. Okay, so here we have, you know, the failed resistance, which is she and me, the third dialogue, and we say, well, at the time, which is the early 17th century, when the Dutch brought the first enslaved Africans here. People don't realize it, and that's why I went after the digression about it's a lesson we didn't learn in school. Is that while the Dutch were in this area where we are here now, we call the Al Air de Lagoon, where WSTX originally was. That was the first fort on St. Croix, Fort Louis Augusta. That was the Dutch.
Up on the hill up there.
That's right.
Okay.
The Dutch. All right. But they tell you that when you go down to, like, what is the airport now? The state was called Negro Bay, to Adventure, all of that area, all going on to Manus Bay, that airport. All of that was an English settlement. Of course you know.
Yeah.
Go down west now. You know, the area that is now, you know, Frederick State, actually it was more the area closer to the fort and Pan Bush, the area there by the lagoon. The French. This island was occupied by 3 different Europeans. But this place was such a Garden of Eden. You had 3 rivers here, 16 streams full of, I mean, hey, all we know was from small, I could tell you what I know, I could have catch mullet in the gut. But we're talking about rivers and streams. If you ever been to Dominica, for instance, St. Lucia even, this is more what St. Croix looked like. So that the French in the West didn't know about the English mid-island. The English mid-island didn't know about the French in the West, much less the Dutch in the East. But the Dutch were the first to bring in slave Africans. And now they know, you know, using our labor power to clear land, they wanted to plant tobacco. Matter of fact, that family still deals a lot of tobacco products now in Belgium and Holland, Schimmelpenninck. Well, because now of the activity created by African labor power, the English learned that, hey, the Dutch, they got labor, man. Because in them days, African labor power was like, hey, a farmer getting a tractor. It's like son, you know what I could do now? Well, I put it this way because what you could call a civil war broke out in St. Croix between the Europeans because everybody wanted to enslave Africans for their labor power. But no, and this you would have learned in school. It was Pope Alexander the Sixth, I think was his name, but he was from Spain, so he was an Iberian Pope in the Vatican. But now he divides the world after Columbus supposedly discovered the New World between Spain and Portugal. Spain actually got what we now know as the entire Caribbean.
Okay.
The New World, with the exception of where the line was drawn, if you look at a map, you'll see how Brazil, you know, sticks out. I mean, it's almost like it's reaching towards Africa. You know, this became Portuguese. This is the only part of the New World that was not Spanish, but Portuguese. I say all of this to tell you because when this now civil war break out in St. Croix, the French who were in West, they fled. They didn't want no part of the war because what? These were French Huguenots who were fleeing from the French West Indies because of persecution. So this is what they were. It was the father St. Croix. So when they realized what's going on, they got the hell out of here. So the war really ended up between the English and the Dutch. But I make sure I give you the context because the Spaniards were who were controlling the New World. But they were interested only in the large islands. So Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico. They came from Puerto Rico and kicked the butt of both the Dutch and the British that were fighting over the Africans. Whoever managed to escape, some of the Dutch, they had the ships in the harbor, they sailed to a place we now call Statia, St. Eustatia.
Okay.
All right. The Spaniards weren't interested in the smaller islands. After they kicked the butt of these people here, they loved the sweet water from St. Croix, which is the reason they were here. They didn't know, ain't got no telegraph, nothing. They didn't know ain't a war going on at St. Croix. They was coming to get some of the sweet water. Wherever they going on the voyage, they fill up in St. Croix. So they get through chasing now and killing English and Dutch. They gone back to Puerto Rico. So what happened to the Africans? This is where Maroon country come in. You see, from the time the war break out between these Europeans, you know, the same people that they said, we're so stupid and think, we know well enough now to get the hell out of there. And we headed to the northwest portion of St. Croix.
Which is known as Maroon Ridge.
All right. Today. But then they call it Ndongo because that's where they were captured. Queen Nzinga battling against the same Dutch. They refer to this as Ndongo. So they build the Ndongo now in the northwest portion of St. Croix. Okay. A generation passed. French now come from Martinique, St. Kitts. All of this is French West Indies at the time. Because it's a whole other story, like for instance, St. Kitts. St. Kitts was part French and part British. A lot of us don't know this, but then again, We didn't learn this thing in school. They teach me the lesson. You know. But okay. When the French come now, they thinking, well, hey, you know, son, this is one beautiful island. And their task now is they are going to make this beautiful island the headquarters of the French West Indies. And this is the ruins that you would see in what you call a Judas Fancy. This was supposed to be the capital where the Dutch had started out, you know, up here is what is still Christians did. They started out in more what we call the Princess area, St. John's area, and finally Judas Fancy. Now then, while they were trying to cultivate in Croy, they had major health problems. Because like I said, St. Croix was more like Dominica, St. Lucia than what it is today. It was, a serious rainforest. And they said they were dying because of what they call it miasma. Today we call it humidity. But from where they come from, it's too much for them. So what they decided to do, you know, is to set the island on fire and sit it out on their ships on the harbor just off the north shore of the island. They burned this island like 3 months. And all of these things is just mean, hey, well, my running him out, this is why I'll get me in trouble in the house. But one thing nobody ever tell me, accuse me of just lying. Oh, that ain't true a thing. I said, well, you check it out for yourself. You know, but the French burned this island to the ground. Ask yourself, how come we still have a rainforest? And then stop and think, well, where is the rainforest? Again, the stupid Africans, Mundi people from Ndongo, they were able to protect their homeland in the West that we today now have as a rainforest. But nobody will explain to you, well, it's a peculiar island. How come you get this rainforest in this northwest corner and you go some part of the place is dry, you go up eastern, the place a cactus and things. Oh, how it get so?
Yeah.
And this island never even had running water, it never had no river, nothing. This is what the French inflicted on St. Croix.
That explains a lot.
And before now, they could fulfill their mission of making St. Croix the headquarters of the French West Indies. What came out of the same Caribbean waters, what even today is considered the most profitable colony ever known to man. Today, we know that place as Haiti. The French abandoned everything and they flew to Haiti. So once again, St. Croix was abandoned to the Maroons, who still have not been discovered. The Danes come into the picture in a generation. This is now in the 1730s. They got what the Spaniards used to call Isla Inútil. Either of you know Spanish to figure out what that could mean? Isla Inútil.
Halfway. We know it's island.
Inútil.
Something
Useless.
Like,
The useless island.
in
You said it.
Okay, in Newton. Okay.
You said it. Isla Inútil. They started out by calling what is we today know as the ABC Islands. They call those Islas Inútil. Because they were so barren.
Yeah. Like
flat
Latin
as it,
and
all right.
Newton, yeah.
St. Thomas and St. John, East Line, not because they were barren, but because it was so mountainous and small. So there was available for the Johnny come lately, the Danes, who are now trying to get a foothold in the Caribbean. They had St. Thomas and St. John, other European East Line Hotel. What they gonna do with that? You know. Well, this now is when the opportunity comes to get a foothold because St. Croix is available. And this is how the transaction is made now between the French and the Danes. To sell St. Croix to the Danes for 750,000 what they call livres, French livres.
You know, there's something that you said several times, and I just want to reflect on, which is what we were learning in school, or weren't learning in school.
The lesson we they didn't teach us in school.
Well, they didn't teach us in school. And I say that for many of us, we left our home to come back and discover our home.
That's right.
And of course, you know, there's this ongoing friction. I want to call it friction. There shouldn't be no friction. It should be a smooth thing to happen about teaching culture and history in our schools.
I'm part of the lawsuit, and now the trial is set to, I think it's March the 14th, I think is the date. But somewhere around this in March, Judge Joe Moorhead has set a date for trial because it's trying to mediate with the Department of Education and the Board of Education. You might as well go outside in the yard and have a chat with a rock stone.
Well, you know, in the States, we still have many places where they have boards of education who determine what books will be used and so forth and so on. And you could see the machinations of making sure that the story, as the hunter sees it, will be told. Well, we have, I believe, a similar situation going on here, and I'm going to kind of spin it around a little bit, because earlier I talked about the change, the youth and the legacy and the conflict between the two. Whether it is the hair, it is the music, it is whatever, and over time these things subside, but there's a lot of damage being done in the meantime, because what happens is that within our own community, we have the labeling that goes on, and one of the words I'm going to throw out, radical. Okay, I'm going to throw that word because as soon as you start giving insight into some of the things that, as simple as the things that you were talking about, then you become a radical, and they have those that are taught to shun. So we're building these mechanisms by which we push away the opportunity to learn, or at least be critical and choose what we want to believe. and we're still dealing with that in many ways. But now today, as you say that a lot of us don't like to read, and we're also have been, how should I put, hypnotized by the gadgetry of the time, so that they will learn a violent video game before they will read a book, much less.
Well, again, what I think part of the training that we've gotten as creatures of captivity is to be attracted to the moving image. So even a comic book, even though it's a static, but it's almost as if the images are moving because you're going from panel to panel to panel. But when it comes to the printed image, no. That would be too much information for you, and what are you going to worry with that? That's boring, man. That's a waste of time. The time it takes you to read that book, you could have done watch 5 movies. The moving image is just more attractive than the printed image, but the printed image is where the information is.
You remember Roots, right? The movie?
Of course.
Okay.
You read the book?
And you realize how it basically disappeared. And I say that because as much as some would, how should I say, associate fiction with it as since it was just a TV show, a movie, whatever the case may be, it had too much in it that was too real and too captivating, and for many, too hard to take. A lot of folks too hard to take, but it just disappeared. And you could say Dr. Zhivago and Gone with the Wind, get online and see them. Where is Roots? And not only for us, but for many of the people that stereotypically we've been taught to demonize. I look at it, the thing of people is a mindset. Because if you have the mindset to engage in slavery, to me that's all you need. I don't care whether you're black, white, pink, or green, because I'm not against a color, I'm against the behavior in that context, you know. So you have this mindset, and even so, for many people, like whether you go to Denmark and see the degree to which the people there and the children have no idea, the children have no idea of what their country engaged in way back when. Any little flame that might light the fire of curiosity that could lead to learning and understanding, they're quick to tamp it out. They're quick to tamp it out. So this is why I see, like, for instance, in Denmark, the children will never know. And not only that, the next defense is, well, that happened so long ago. Why should I feel in any way responsible or connected to that? We have these things even in our community. So this is why all the struggles to get where we are today, we have a holiday here in January, and it becomes a holiday with no real connection to what was it really all about. And so what it comes down to is that things like this are deep, conscious thinking things, and we have a system of government as well as businesses and other people who have an interest in promoting this, the things that take you away from that direction. Nothing going on over there. Come see it over here. This is what I want you to look at. Anyhow. Yeah, so the book, I'm glad that you were here to talk about it in the way that you talked about it, because people look at a book, they see the cover, and now you have given them the tantalizing thoughts of what can be discovered. So that
I hope they find it tantalizing.
Well, I think it is.
I find it tantalizing to the point where I'm itching to ask a question.
Okay, well, you know, I gonna play like I ain't see this one coming. Okay? And I go hold my hand up, because if we have rock stone showing, I go see that my hand is empty.
Well, my first question, Brother Mario, is what inspired you to write this book? This is my first question. My second question is that will it become available in audio form so persons like myself can indulge in reading this book?
Well, and again, Peggy, if you're listening, I think I had forget some of your instructions. But okay. I am going to express the gratitude now by taking this cue to let one and all know that yes, Crucian Dialogues is available at Amazon.com. And you go into Amazon.com, and you just write in Mario Moorhead, and it's going to come up, and you have the choice. You could get an e-book, or you could get, you know, the hard copy. And, you know, as we done with She and Me, but they are all gone out now because it was Rafi. African Neighborhood.
Yeah, I know, right? The logo.
Well, we did the logo. We did some audio books of She and Me, but it gone now. But very soon, you will have the audio books from Amazon, and the entire thing will be there. But it is available now at Amazon.com. That they both would have, and Peggy is actually, selling books now. She's been not very happy about it because from the time the books came to her last week, it been raining every day. And she's been trying to get out there, to move some of the books and well, because it's books and paper,
Right,
you
and
can't do nothing in the rain.
No.
So let me, follow the instructions. And let's tell me here, first of all, okay. First of all, yes, that as of today, and this going up until Friday here, this is what she is calling, because she's not my man of business, but my woman of business. Every day until Friday. This is the early ball special, where the books are selling for $40. After, as of February 1st, the books going to the real price, because we're trying to hustle these books here now to see if we could generate enough cash to get a quantity of books on hand for the fair. So this is why the early ball special, because as you see, it's a big book.
Okay.
So I ain't gonna hide it for you. It's a big book.
Yes, I've seen it.
You
It's,
got to make up your mind to
yes.
to read. Okay?
But I'm going to tell you something, Mario.
And
Okay?
this book, one second, this book, if I get you what you were saying, has all $4 in it?
Everything that we talk about here, yes, is in there.
Okay.
All of it.
So from
790 pages.
From he and me to now.
Right. He and me, it and me, she and me, them and me.
Okay. All of them is in this one
Right.
book.
All of them is just one book.
Wonderful.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I am particularly happy that you are here today to talk about it, because the way you broke it down, okay, I'm going to make sure that this gets reproduced in a timely manner, because the way you broke it down is such that a person could look at this big book and understand what's in it, and understand and have a desire to want to get the details of what you were talking about.
I hope so.
And I think that is the key thing to keep pushing. When you say a book this big and it have 4 books in it, and people are already, you could see them kind of like backing up, like, I afraid that one will move before it bite me.
You don't know. That's how it is.
I have read audiobooks up to 40 hours long.
Yeah.
So big books, I ain't afraid of
Well,
them.
I'm happy to hear that, because that, like I said, is almost a congenital problem that again, at a later date, if I get the opportunity, I could write about. But how they were able to make us, like, either of you ever heard of a book called A Manchurian Candidate?
Yes.
Yes, I heard about it, but I didn't read it.
Well, this was, and it was more my age, because it was a concept, like how we would now say PTSD. Used to talk about people come from a shell shock, and this here goes a step farther. Manchurian Candidate, so you come back, brainwash. You see, and so that the whole concept of the Manchurian Candidate is that the communists, actually captured American soldiers and brainwashed them, and then sent them back to America.
Right.
You see, and hey, they're the same people like you said over there, look, but they brainwash now,
Right.
and they are supposed to now be suing communism to upset the whole capitalist appetite of America.
you
Well, it's
mentioned
this
the book.
kind of thing that is done, what they call it, in us being, like I said, lions born and raised in the zoo. And we don't know who we be, all we know is what they teach us.
Right.
You know, well, this is before, like I said, before my sister got to kill me. What she say? That okay, because of the weather, she wanted to be across from the entrance to the Department of Agriculture, across from Queen Mary Highway, the big
Yeah.
parking area there. But she tried a couple of times, and just every time she said, she just as soon as it gets set up by her, rain started to fall and scramble to get her. So she says, as of today and down to Friday, all the board special continues. I mean, she's going to be at the Cast Iron Pot Restaurant in Princess every day, beginning today, from 11 in the morning until 5:30 in the evening. All right, so there's that. Then the other thing, and then I'm done. Like this, these are the instructions, you know.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Come Sunday, February 16th. This is Sunday of the fair now. That Sunday evening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Door Center in Fredericksted. Top Gun, man I call Top Gun is Kenrick Vidal from Campo Rico. Well, Top Gun and I will be giving a book review so that, well, something much more fulfilling than I trying to put together here to answer to Doug asking me all of these tough questions.
No.
Well, we'll have a book review and then a book signing, and of course we'll have, you know, books and sale. So this will be Sunday, February 16th, Door Center in Fredericksted from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, I think I do.
Okay. Well,
Follow me,
I don't
instructions.
want to get in between your woman and business and the wrath that can come.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we
But,
already has no
I,
purely the wrath of a woman.
Now, you hear it there?
She did email me to confirm your appearance here today,
Okay.
but she didn't email me with the instructions that would have complemented her outreach.
Okay.
So I am just a tad bit shy of being unforgiving.
You.
So, you know, I ain't reached there yet. But
Right.
tell her to send me some instructions to know so I could talk about these things and help in getting the word out.
I would dare to say that you are speaking directly to her now. Because
Yeah,
if
no,
I
she's
know,
listening.
if I know my one and only sister Peggy, she's listening right
So I
now.
would use my bodyguard.
You, me?
Exactly.
No, when it comes to she,
Yeah.
you're on your own with that one.
But anyhow, so that's how it goes.
Anyway, so Mario,
Yeah.
with your narration of the book,
Yeah.
it has created a picture in my mind
Mhm.
of this book.
Mhm.
Okay, because while he was speaking to me, I was seeing everything as he was speaking. Okay,
Good.
and I was like, I'm itching to read this book.
And you will get your
Okay.
opportunity because, as a matter of fact, if Top Gun was here, he probably could have answered more efficiently, but I am totally illiterate when it comes to the internet and the,
No, you-
the 21st century period.
You did well, sir.
Yeah,
You
no,
did
no,
well.
no,
Don't
no,
even
you
try
did-
that.
you
You
did
did well.
Because he probably would have said to you, you know, if you inquire, because they do a lot of things on demand, you could probably get an audio book on demand if you wanted one.
Okay.
Because that's how Amazon operate.
Yeah.
Like when you
Well, I
order
have
a
a-
book from Amazon now,
Uh-huh.
they go in a storeroom or pull it out. No, they push a couple of buttons and the book print.
Yeah. But see, I have a what you call a thing called a Kindle app on my iPad.
I don't even know what it is.
So I could also get the
But
printed
you read
form.
that, that's like a cool pot.
No, man. No.
No, you can't
The
do it.
record player. More like the record player.
It's more like a
except it's
cassette player.
a cassette player.
Oh, when you say
CD
you
player.
kindle, you make me think of fire.
I
you
know.
you
Kindle to kindle the imagination, the fire imagination for
Well,
reading.
I
but-
got the cold pot.
No, well, you see, a Kindle is actually something similar to your cell phone, like a tablet, right? That Amazon has that reads their ebooks. Okay. I don't have the Kindle itself, but I have the Kindle app, which works just like the Kindle on my iPad.
Well, let me just stick with my Crucian and just stop. Oh, I have to. Are you saying that you know how you could get an audiobook from Amazon?
Mario, he don't teach me how to use the thing.
This is my phone.
Okay, well, good. Well, let me, all right, good. We remember because
This is an iPhone 8, right?
uh,
I have a app on this thing called Bard, and the title of the book that you just mentioned
yeah,
about the brainwashing the people and sending them back.
yeah,
I can go on Bard and research that book and download it to my phone.
the Manchurian Candidate.
Yes. So when we finish here, I can research looking for it and download it to my
Yeah.
phone,
Good thing. Yeah.
so I can read that book as well.
Okay. And
Okay.
just to mention this in passing, because our time is very limited, but we have the library here for the blind and the physically handicapped. And one of the things that is the aspiration of the clients of that library is to hopefully one day to be able to do audio recordings here for the purpose of having books, authors of the Virgin Islands to be part of the system to ensure that a more diverse cultural assortment of books in the Virgin Islands could be available to persons who are visually impaired or otherwise would benefit from that.
And that book will be perfect. And this present book will be perfect.
It'd be perfect, but all things in time. The most important thing right now is that the fire is there. It's just a little set of embers that's going, but it has, with a little air and put a few sticks on it, it could get to that point where we could probably have that type of thing going on here. And that's just for information in that respect. But between the library and the e-books of today, we have to say that the environment is much more inclusive, and I am so glad that he is here with me, because I have somebody that we nearly get into fisticuffs telling me that blind people don't watch TV. So the next thing they'll come and tell me is blind people don't read. So, but yes, coming full circle, Crucian Dialogues, I won't tell you, Mario, you know, you could be on for 5 hours and it will be something interesting that's said. But at the same time, too, in terms of the captive time and getting across, briefly, I have to say that you have done a superb job here today of tantalizing minds to read the book. And I think that's the first and most important thing.
I hope so.
Yes, you have.
Right,
That's why I have him here.
my mind, so you know.
Okay.
I'm sure you did others as well.
Well, you are a literary giant, so I would be surprised at all that I could touch you. You understand? I
Yeah.
wouldn't consider you the average Crucian
No, why not?
because they are not literary like you.
Okay, well, we're going to raise the bar. We're going to raise the bar.
You understand? Well, he helped me to raise it right here, but that's why I telling you that you're the tip of the spear.
Okay, I'll take that.
You understand?
Well,
Good.
at least for those
I'll
who
take-
would be
I'll thank you for
intimidated
that.
by the sheer size of the book, I think that their fears would be, cast aside after hearing what is in there, because now you have that desire to get the meat of the matter. All we
Oh,
got
yes.
was a little taste, and it tastes good. We're
Yeah.
going in to get a rest.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
You know, the first little pot spoonful that I give. Mommy they said, come and taste this.
Yeah.
That's what we get today. So now we want the plate.
But yes, it's one of those things. Our time here has come to a close, and I don't want my next host to come in and have to call the marshals to come and move me out or anything like that. But it's been this type of interaction, and if I could keep you here longer, I would. On the one hand, but on the other hand, I know that you have things to be out and about doing. I don't want.
But Doug, no. I am extremely grateful because, well, there's one thing when I was a radio host, you know, I could publicize own activities. So right now, I am very grateful because you give me this opportunity and I almost blew it, you know, one and only since I remind people again. Yes, the book is available every day from 11 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening at the Castle and Pot restaurant in Princess.
Yes.
What? We would be at the fair. This is a matter of fact, we have the olive board special here because the book is expensive. But the olive board special is only $40. So you know, coming after
So
that.
how much is the late board special?
On Amazon,
$40.
$50 on Amazon.
What they call it?
For the book, yeah, $50
No,
on
50
Amazon.
on Amazon for the book. And
Okay.
$40 if you get it early bird
Early
special.
bird special.
Yeah.
And when you think of it, it's 4 books, like 4 books in one.
Yeah.
So when you look at it in terms of the price,
790 pages,
that's
right? Number of pictures.
It is
right
not-
there.
And that is a wealth of information.
I wanted to say that how this interview came about.
Mm.
I was to the Martin Luther King program in Ferguson after the parade,
Okay, yeah.
and Peggy was there, and she had them there in the back of the car, and the trunk up and everything else. And yes, it did rain a little bit. And so I made it a point at that time to extend the invitation.
Okay.
And I want you to know that I have my copy from you of Who Feels It, Knows It, and it is guarded.
Yes, sir.
You know
Yes,
how these things, people say, oh, let me look at it and see it next year. You turn your head and they gone and they book down with them, and you never see it again, all right? And I say that, folks, there are things here that you don't want to later on say, I had the chance to own a copy of it, and you didn't act on it. Act on it. And not only that, I would tell you, if you can, with your grandchildren, your niece, them, and whoever else, okay, sit them down and read some of it to them. All right? I mean, if you want to give it to them on Kindle and have them do that, that's fine. But there's something special about saying, my auntie did this with me, my nanny did that with me, and so forth. And I'm saying in the context of consciousness and them having that much better of a chance of charting a direction in their life that's going to make them know what they want to know and not what somebody wants to program them with. Take the time, all right? Mario, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to the book review, and I look forward to seeing this thing fly off the shelves. Folks, we support our own in more ways than one, and this is 4 in 1. So you have 4 good reasons today.
Yes.
All right, and Peggy, we're going to catch up, but send me some of them directions now so I can help too. Okay, and with that, thank you again, Mario.
Thank you, Doc.